Hello and welcome. If you like today's tutorial, please like and subscribe, it really does help. Today I want to explore DazToUnreal again, now that Unreal Engine 5 has been released and that a newer version of the Daz plugin is available from the developer. I have been struggling to get back into the tutorials a little bit because I have actually been enjoying being outside for a change rather than sat in front of a computer. And also, I'm finding myself using Daz Studio less and less as each day passes. The only reason I use it is because I have a large Daz Asset library, but the software itself, it tends to slow me down. Maybe there is an update or something that I haven't downloaded yet, because I am using quite a older version of Daz. So if there's something that I'm missing in the newer versions, let me know. With all that talking out of the way, let's proceed. I am going to start today by opening a blank project. Yep, I'll go with a blank project today. So open UE5, click on games, click on blank. I am going to include the starter content. It will make your project larger in size, so you can uncheck that, and there's no point me using ray tracing today. So name your project. I'm going to call this Daz or Unreal, and then click create. I will close Daz Studio for now, and I will be back with you when Unreal Engine 5 opens. Inside Unreal Engine 5, let's come up to edit and open plugins, and let's enable our Daz to Unreal plugin. Here it is. I am running version 5.0.0.70. Again, there will be a link in the description of where to download this. Now, with the Daz plugin enabled, come up to edit and go to project settings and scroll down on this side until you come to plugins and find Daz to Unreal settings. Click on that and click on show FBX import dialog. This is more advanced, but it will give us more control when we import our Daz characters. I think what we need to do is explore the new Daz to Unreal plugin. So content, come to content and come over here to settings and make sure that show engine content and show plugin content is checked. And what this will do is give you all the plugin content and all the engine content as it says. So from here then we can type Daz, and if you look under plugins, there is Daz to Unreal content. If we select that, this is all the content that comes with the plugin. So there's post process, a foot control IK, simple control rig, etc. And then there's this new folder, retarget. What we have is a Genesis 8 IKRig, a Genesis 8.1 fixed rot 0 root IK, no idea what that is, a control rig G8 basic foot IK. Now I'm not going to open any of these yet, because one thing that the plugin does not come with is a Daz Studio Genesis 8 skeletal mesh. It's probably licensing that prevents that from happening, but what that means is there is no default skeletal mesh, which means that if I were to open this retargeter now, which I don't want to do because it may break it, is with no character in there, it will, as I said, it will break. So maybe that is something that the people at Daz 3D need to think about, that distributing just a basic Genesis 8 character with their plugin would really help. I've been asked to provide people with IKRigs and IKRetargeters, and they would pay me on Patreon, and I cannot do it for them because I cannot distribute a Genesis 8 character. It is just against the licensing terms. Anyway, that's enough rambling. With that, let's move over to Daz Studio. Leave UE5 running in the background. Right, inside Daz Studio, we have our character, John. Now, what I've done with John is I have either click here or Tools, Geometry Editor, or Alt-Shift-G. And what I have done is, with the geometry tool selected, I have right-clicked, gone to selection mode, choose lasso mode, selection mode, and I have simply drawn around like this with the body selected all the way around like this, all the parts that I cannot see. And then I have right-clicked, geometry visibility, hide selected polygons. Now, it might look to you like nothing's happened, but if we hide the jacket, as you can see, it's removed or hidden the body underneath the clothes. So we can turn off the pants, like so. Okay, and that will just prevent poke through in the engine. Obviously, if you have a reason for keeping the clothes and the body, maybe you want to take the clothes off in the engine or something, then you will have to do it a different way. But this is the simplest way for you to get the results you need. Okay, with that, what I want to do is send our character John to the engine. So I'm going to click File, Send to DazToUnreal, and I'm going to call this John version 2, because I'm pretty sure I have another version of John. Select, make sure skeletal mesh is selected, enable morphs, choose morphs, and click on down here, arms, legs, torso, arc it, because I'm not sure if this is an 8.1 character or an 8, and then we'll just do face effects as well. And then hit accept. And then you need to choose a folder for your character. We've selected the folder, and then I want to come down to show FBX dialog and make sure that is checked. Hit accept. A dialog box will pop up, and just make sure morphs is checked, and that's it. Everything else seems fine. Hit accept. Now we need to go back across to UE5 and wait for this to be sent there. Back over in Unreal Engine 5, the character is now importing into the engine. I still have Daz Studio in the background, but it has now sent it to the engine. Once this process is complete, I am going to close Daz Studio. In fact, I may as well just do that now, as long as there's no dialog boxes or anything. It might ask you to save the project. Just click yes so you don't lose your character. Right, back inside Unreal Engine 5, because we enabled it in the project settings, we have this dialog box. Now, this is more advanced, but basically you don't have to use the skeleton that comes with the plugin, and you would do that by selecting none here, or maybe you already have a skeleton set up that you want to use. You would choose that here. I believe we've got a Daz Studio crash. Fantastic. Right, so in skeleton, I'm going to come to here to Genesis 8 base skeleton. Okay, and choose that there. And then from the advanced properties, I want to make sure that use TO as reference pose is unchecked and that morph targets is checked. Okay, then I'm going to hit import. And now this will take a while. Right, with our character now imported, we can go to Content, DazToUnreal, and find our character, John version 2, and open up John version 2, and here he is. Weird dude. Look at that. Okay, so let me just see if we can quickly fix the beard. So let me scroll down, and all we would do is find the material, and you can hit high isolate to make sure you're working with the correct one. I think there's two to this look, two different types. Let's just try the bottom one. First, what I want to do is turn down the glossiness. So, well, rather adjust it upwards until it's just not quite as shiny. And there is another one, isn't there? Yep. There we go. And I'm going to adjust the glossy roughness on this so it's just not quite as shiny. And I think for the purpose of the tutorial, you know, the grey beard is fine. But that's what you would do. You would adjust the materials. Also, I tend to find that the materials that come with DazToUnreal, the bridge, are often too shiny, so that's something you might want to bear in mind. Also, if you look here, the zipper is poking through the shirt, and I'm going to ignore that for now, but I mean, we can. In fact, let me show you how to, say you've got something like that. It's not that important for you to see it. You can come down to here to LOD 0 and sections. If you've got more than one level of detail, you'll need to do this in all of them. But for LOD 0, let's just find that. So if you select it like this, and then you scroll down until you find which one of these has highlight checked. So let's scroll down. There's lots of them. Look there. See? If I click off, it removes the highlight, but if you click there, it shows you highlight. And now what we can actually do with this is right click on this section, in this case section 35, and disable. And it will take a moment to do it. And you'll get this dialog. And as you can see, the zipper has now disappeared. Okay. So, other than the beard, I'm reasonably happy. You could actually remove the beard in the same way if you found it here, but I'm going to leave it. Okay, so I think the next thing to do is to try and figure out how the new IKRig stuff works. You'll also notice that this is not in the correct pose. I'm sure there's documentation that tell you how to do it, but that is going to create some problems further down the line, I think. So, but we'll proceed anyway. Right, so what we're going to do is, let's go and explore again the DazToUnreal plugins folder. So again, type Daz, makes it easier, and find it. Scroll down to Engine Data, Plugins, DazToUnreal Content, and I'm interested in these control rigs here. So I'm going to select Genesis 8 Simple Control Rig and the Foot IK Control Rig, and I'm going to drag those across and copy here. This is just later on if you want to do more advanced things. You've got copies of these. And then let's go to the retarget folder, and I may leave these for a moment, but what we can do is, while we're here, is open up this, and we need to go here to preview scene, and it's going to ask for a preview mesh, and we're going to choose John version 2. You see, this was my worry. It's all screwed up. Let me disable the post blueprint. One moment while I try and sort this out. Okay, so if it's all screwed up, just hit reset up here, like so. Now, David has done a fantastic job with this, so I'm happy that we now have an IKRig and we don't have to make you sit through a 40-minute tutorial. So thanks to David. And It may be wise for more advanced users to copy this IKRig to your project folder. So if you do make any changes, you're not breaking the one that comes with a plugin, so you always have a reference. We don't need to worry about that, but what we do need to worry about is this foot IK in the DazToUnreal content retarget folder. So this will not come with a skeletal mesh, which is important. So what I'm going to do is drag this across to John version 2 and copy here. So if we go into there, and I'm going to drag that into my rigs folder, copy here. And if you don't have the rigs folder, just create it. And if we open this up, the preview scene is blank, and as you can see, it's highlighted red here, meaning those bones do not exist in your preview mesh. Now this is more for intermediate and advanced users who require foot IK. If you're going to use the Daz character in a third person template, for example. So what I'm going to do here is in the preview scene settings tab, I'm going to scroll down to my preview mesh and I'm going to select John. There he is, and hit compile and save. Now if we go here, as you can see, it is still in red. So we can come over to our rig hierarchy, go to root and refresh, and from here choose John. Let me click on there and John, and for some reason still doing. Let me hit compile again. So let me click on that and type IK and just find out it's just named slightly different. That's strange. There you go. Oh, okay. Well, it seems to be capitalized. So this time we need IK foot R. And so let's go to everywhere where it's showing red and just rename that IK foot left and IK foot R. That is a strange one. Okay, and then look up here, there's more. So everywhere you see a red bone name, you're just going to have to change it. IK foot R and IK foot L and hit compile. And that's it. You now have a foot IK control rig. Again, if you're a novice, you don't have to do this. But if you are going to use it in as a third person character, your Daz character, then you do need to do this. This will become important. Okay, so that's fixed. What I do want to do though is rename that to it's still going to be called basic foot IK, but it's going to be CR, and we'll call this John version 2. So now it's CR John version 2 basic foot IK. Okay. Next, inside here, I need to create a retargeter because the one that comes with the plugin is blank, and it's just easier to set up your own. But all we have at the minute is a Daz character, and I would like some animations and things in the mannequin. So how we get the mannequin is we hit add, go to add feature or content pack, and select third person and add project. And if we close all these dialogues and we just go to the content drawer, we now have a characters folder, which, well, we have a few folders. Look, we have a third person folder, level prototyping. But if we click on the characters, and we'll go to mannequins first, and we click in mannequins and meshes, we have the brand new mannequin. or mannequins, because there's various versions. There's a queen as well, and I love these things. And then there is simplified versions of those meshes, and of course it's skeleton. And also there's the old UE4 mannequin as well, just in case you need it. And with these characters, they come with their own rigs, look like there. So what we can actually do while we're in here is, I don't want to damage this original. Let me open it up for you and show you. This is the one that comes with Unreal Engine 5. I don't want to damage that, so what I'm going to do is duplicate it, and I'm going to call this the same, but I'm going to put for Daz. Okay, RTG mannequin to Daz. And if I open that up, and from the target IK asset, I choose G8 IKRig. If for some reason you've done it different to this tutorial, the setup of the Daz character, and you cannot see that G8 IKRig, click here and show engine content and show plugin content, and then it will appear for you. Okay, so let's select that. If for some reason your character is not showing, you can come here to target preview mesh, and we can find John, and it will select John. I haven't got any more Genesis 8 characters at the moment, so I can't show you, but you can switch between the different characters here. As you can see, the pose is not correct, and we can fix that by hitting new pose and type in Mane to Daz, like so. Okay, and then we edit the pose like so. If the bone controls are too big, you can come over here to bone, draw size, make that small, make them smaller like that until you're comfortable and you're happy. You can pose the bones, and then all we have to do is just, you can move like so the various bones. What I want to do though is come up here, and I'm going to set this to 5 degrees, this snapping here. This is the rotation snapping, and as far as we can tell, these legs look like they need to be done, so let me just pull those in. Okay, I might need to come up to the 5 degrees and set it to 2.812, and yeah, that's probably a little bit better, and just move them in slightly like so, and then set that back to 5 degrees. It just makes your life a lot easier, the snapping. And I think we're going to go to the top view first. Let's just zoom out. Do look slightly out, don't they? So let me just bring those down by 5 degrees. And let's go to the top, like so. And let's bend these forearms by about 15 degrees, like so. And the hands look like they need to be bent by 15 degrees. Again, just do this by eye. I don't do this often enough to know. I always make sure that I have the correct pose coming into the engine, and I do that in Blender. I don't know if there's a different way to do it. Oops. One moment. This is a real pain. I wish there was a way to import a pose asset. It is my understanding that that will be a thing in the future, and they are working on it. So you will be able to import a pose asset here, which is fantastic, because the Daz plugin does come with a pose asset. So hopefully you'll be able to use that in future. Right, so I mean, I'm fairly happy with that. If we go back into perspective, mode. Yeah, it's not fantastic, is it? But there you go. Now I'm worried now about touching the fingers because it does create a crash sometimes. So let me just look at these hands. I mean, you get the general idea. You would just pose your character until it matches this. It is a bit of a pain and it will take a while, but when you finish, just click off Edit Pose and hit Save. As I said, I'm not going to touch the fingers because it's my understanding that it does lead to a crash sometimes. But you can give that a go, and if you're watching this in the future and they've fixed that inside the engine, then proceed and pose the fingers to match. Next, I want to come over to chain mapping, and here where it says root, select root and set this to globally scaled. Okay, then I want you to scroll all the way down to these IK bones at the bottom and set these to absolute. Experiment with this, because with different characters you may have different results. This is just the way that I'm doing it today, but if you do have problems with your IK bones not retargeting or no root motion, just have a play around with these values in details translation mode. Absolute, like so. Right, I'm happy with that, and then what I'm going to do is just go through and just make sure all these chains, the target chain and the source chain, will have the correct names and they're lined up. Yep, very good, very good. And hit save. Now what we can do is come over to Asset Browser, and if we type, say, idle, and we choose the male idle, there we go. And to export this animation, you would click here, export selected animations, and we'll go to DazToUnreal and create a new folder if it doesn't exist already, called animations, and click OK. And there we have it. We have a retargeted animation for our character John. So obviously the next question is going to be, what happens if you want to do it the other way? What if you have Daz Studio Animations that you want to retarget to the mannequin? Let's do that. But first, we're obviously going to need a Daz Studio animation. So let's go back to Daz Studio and do that. Back here inside Daz Studio, we now have our John character, and what I've done is simply added a animation. At this point, I will assume you know how to use Daz Studio and add an animation to your timeline. What we need to do now, obviously, is export this to the engine. So I'm going to go to File and DazToUnreal with John selected. DazToUnreal, and this time I want to call this John Idle, like so. And from the asset type, choose animation, remove enable morphs, and show FBX dialog. Now I need to do this because there is a bug in my version of the plugin that I have with Daz Studio that means the animations don't export, but I think it's now been fixed if I am correct in newer versions of the Daz plugin. But I'll show you that in a moment. So show FBX dialog, hit accept, make sure we're in the correct folder by the way, and hit accept. Yeah, you see, look, my animations are not selected here. This bug has been fixed. I've seen it in the code, so I think it's made its way to Daz Studio by now. So make sure animations is checked and hit accept. Once that's converted, it will send it to UE5. So let's move over to Unreal Engine 5. Okay, once it arrives at the engine, you will be presented with this dialog box again, because again, we enabled it in the project settings. And this time I again want to choose our Genesis 8 base skeleton. And I think Let me just check all these settings. Yep, that's all great. So let me just have a look down here. Yep, that's all good. So just once you've chosen the skeleton, just hit import. And obviously it will import. There we go. And so I'm going to close all these dialogues. Again, ignore the minor warnings, you'll be fine. And in my DazToUnreal folder, it's created an animation folder. That is frustrating. I thought it was named animations. So let me just drag the animation we created a little while ago into animation. Move here. Brilliant. And let me get rid of that extra animation folder. There we go. So here is John Idle that we've, sorry about the confusion there. John Idle that we've just sent from Daz Studio. Let's open that up. There we go. So it's a Daz Studio Idle animation. And there is a strange bug in UE5 where if we get to this last frame, or is it the first frame? Yeah, it's the first frame. So there's a bug I found in UE5 that happens on some animations where the end frame becomes this first frame, which is just, it's like the reference pose, but it's at the end. So if you experience that, try and remove the end frame. In this case, what we're going to do is I'm going to remove these first frames from this. So if I click to next like that, and then I right click and remove frame 0 to frame 1. So if you have a base pose, like a T pose, like I just did on your first frame, then you can just remove that first frame, and then we should now have a perfectly looping animation. Let's make sure. There you go. Loops perfectly. Hit save. I'm going to save all as well. It's important to do that quite often. And now what we can do is in our character folder, John, go into the rigs folder and right click animation and choose IKRetargeter, like so. And it's going to ask you to pick an IKRig to copy the animation from. Choose our Genesis IKRig, GA-IKRig. Oops, forgive me. And we need to rename this. We'll call this John version 2 IKR. It's probably better to name it. In fact, I will do it here so I don't get people shouting at me in the comment section. IKR, capitalize that. IKR John version 2. Okay, and now what this has given us is a retargeter with the source as our Daz character, and then we can choose any target from here. So we can either choose a UE4 mannequin or the newer UE5 mannequin here. And if we come to chain mapping, come to root again and make sure that's set to globally scaled. So we have root motion, and then we will fix some of these, but let's go down to the IK bones first and make sure that they're all set correctly and they match. And for each one of these, set these to absolute. Again, you may need to change this from absolute to something that works better for you, but through my experimentation and for the animations that I use, these need to be set to absolute, like so. Oops. Okay, now obviously the new UE5 mannequin has a lot more bones, so what we need to do is come to all these twist bones here and set all the twist and metacarpal bones to none. So I'm going to go through and do that now and speed up the video. And that's it. Again, I'll repeat, I set all these twist bones to none and the metacarpal bones to none. And with that done, I'm going to hit save. And now what we can do is come back to our asset browser. And here is our John idle, the one from Daz Studio. If we click on that, we do have a problem here, look, with one of the fingers. So it is our left metacarpal, left index metacarpal maybe. There we go, look, I haven't set that one to none. There, and fixed. And now, as you can see, this is a Daz Studio animation on a UE5 mannequin. And the process is no different for a UE4 mannequin. You just need to make sure these chains are set correctly. All the twist bones are set to none, etc. And it will retarget to that too. In fact, I'll show you that right now before we export. Oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I've got to go back for all these bones now, but you get the general idea. So if we would, it will retarget. Obviously that looks a little strange because I haven't set these twist bones to none, like so, and none, and none, and so on. And to export, we simply click exported, selected animations and characters, in this case mannequins, animations, and OK. And there we go, we have a Daz Studio idle animation. I probably should have chosen something a little bit more interesting, but there we go. And now that's been retargeted to the UE5 mannequin. Okay, so it's time to do something a little bit more advanced, but I want this to be as complete as possible because I don't intend on doing any more DazToUnreal tutorials for a little while. So in our content folder, go to the third person folder, come to third person maps and click on the third person map. And that gives us this. Okay, the third person template. If I hit play, and so we're going to replace this mannequin with our Daz Studio character. Okay, to do that, we need to come to third person blueprints, open up the third person character blueprint, and go to viewport, select mesh, and from mesh, skeletal mesh, select our character John. There he is. And if the capsule isn't quite big enough, select the capsule like so. And then we're just going to, I'm going to increase this, for example, 45, and then upwards we'll make that 110. Probably slightly too big, but it will do for now. Okay. Right now, obviously, we're going to need to retarget the animation assets for the third person character. So hit compile and save and close this. And go to content, characters, mannequins, animations, and here is Quinn. I'm going to choose Quinn because Quinn is a child of Mane, so anything I do with Quinn is going to affect everything else. So select Quinn, right click, and retarget animation assets, duplicate and retarget animation blueprint, like so. And from here, choose the RTG mannequin to Daz IKRetargeter we created a while ago. And you will get this view. In prefix, I want to actually type John version 2 underscore, and this will just add a prefix to the file names. And then change the animations folder to DazToUnreal, go into animation, but right click, I'm going to create a new folder and call this TPS for third person. Okay, hit OK, and now retarget. Oh, sorry, make sure that remap reference assets is checked. Hit retarget. And there we have it. We have all the third person idle and run forward, etc. all retargeted and ready to go. Next, we need to go back to content, third person, blueprints, third person character, open it up, and I'll click on viewport so we can see our character. Select mesh and come over here to animation mode. Make sure it's set to use animation blueprint. Anim class needs to be set to, if we type John, and I'm going to choose John version 2 ABP Manny. And as you can see, instantly our animation is now there. Hit compile, save. We need to do one more step, and that is to fix the foot IK. So come to your anim class, click the folder icon, and it will open up our John version 2 ABP Manny. Open that up. Now, what we need to do is click on anim graph here. Come to this control rig, select it, scroll down until you find control rig class. And from here, we need to choose the foot IK control rig that we created earlier in the tutorial. So modified earlier on in the tutorial. CR John version 2 basic foot IK. And hit compile. And now all the warnings should be gone and it should compile fine. We can now close all these, hit play, and here is John. And when John goes on the ramp, it's not perfect. I'm using the foot IK that came with the plugin. You may need to alter the foot IK control rig so it's slightly higher. But you get the general idea. And there we go. So we've come over to this little ramp. It should do the same. Look at the feet. It should, as we go up the incline, the feet should be there. There's some weird problems with collision, as you can see. There's some weird problems. Again, that could be to do with either retargeting or whatever, but it's beyond the scope of this. I don't have the time to try and fix that. So if anybody knows how to fix that, let me know in the comments section. That would be really helpful and we'll share it with everybody. But that's it. That is how you retarget inside Unreal Engine 5 release. Okay, that's the end of the tutorial today. I hope it was helpful. I know I've done these kind of tutorials in the past, but I thought I would give you an update with the IKRigs and things that are available to you now. This is certainly a lot easier than creating an IKRig yourself. You may want to go and study the IKRig that comes with the DazToUnreal plugin, as it may help you with other characters. For now though, that is it. If you do have any questions, please leave a comment below. And if you would like me to do any more Daz tutorials, something very specific that doesn't exist already, I will be more than happy to do that if, as I say, it hasn't been done before. And that's it for now. So more tutorials are on the way. Please like and subscribe. It really does help. Thanks for watching.